So, in talking with homeowners, it became apparent that a lot of them don't realize how much buying power that they are sitting on. And so, today we have Nicole Rueth from the Rueth team with Movement Mortgage, and we're going to talk about how to unlock equity, how to use your current home to buy your next one, right?
Yes.
So, thanks for being here today.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. And I love this topic. Yes.
Yeah, it's great because there's so many options for people, right? Once they get into the home, it just creates options, and I know you talk about that a lot. So let's dive in. One of the first questions that I was hearing is something about the differences between using a HELOC versus a cash-out refinance.
Yeah. So right now, while interest rates are higher, people are looking for options because they don't want to lose that locked in interest rate that they have currently. Somebody might say, well, I have a 2.75 or a 3.5, and I don't want to lose that. And so I always look at both options. If you're going to tap into the equity, is a HELOC or a home equity line of credit is what that stands for, or a cash out refinance the better option. So a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, is going to follow the prime rate, which follows the Fed rate. So we hear a lot in the news about the Fed is lowering the Fed rate, or they're not, or they're holding it higher for longer. That directly impacts the prime rate, which directly impacts what a homeowner can access with a HELOC. So right now, the prime rate is 7.5. So when your viewers listen to this, depending on what that is, they have to measure that against what their current interest rate is, because it moves clearly.
Is it like an adjustable rate mortgage? HELOCs, the interest rate moves. You're not locked in at a specific interest rate.
They're not locked in, so it's going to float with prime.
Right.
So as prime moves, then their interest rate will move. You do have the option to lock in portions of the HELOC, so you can choose to do that, but you would draw that amount, lock it in, and have payments. The one really beautiful thing about a HELOC is you only start paying on it when you draw on it, right? So it's just that line of credit that's sitting there. So what I'll do is, depending on how much money they want to pull out as far as their equity goes, I'll look at how much is locked in with that really sexy rate that they want to keep versus how much do they want to pull out. Because they'll say, no, but I want to keep it. I'm like, but you have $50,000 left on your loan. You're saving something to pull out $250,000 at 7.5%, right? Or whatever the rate is at the time. Versus a cash out refinance, right now, it all depends on what the market rate is. So it might be 6.5, 6.75. With a cash out refinance, I might be able to beat the HELOC rate, but they'd have to roll in the whole loan. So they'd lose whatever their current loan is.
Yeah, because with the cash out refinance, they are paying off their existing mortgage that may or may not have that super low interest rate. And in addition to paying that off, they're also getting a lump sum of cash.
Yes.
And then a whole new probably 30-year long mortgage. But they can take that cash and then use it to go buy more property.
They can, or remodel their home to sell it, or to remodel it to rent it out. Like, there's so many options for that.
Well, and then you get into this, pay off credit cards and take vacations, which we do not recommend.
No, no, no. Don't use your house as an ATM. That's the rule.
Yes, I like that rule.
Mm-hmm.
What else? So another topic on this is bridge loans.
Yes.
So tell us more about bridge loans, what they are, how they work, who might want a bridge loan.
So when we talk about tapping into equity on a home that you own, and that's what I love, it's options, right?
Yeah.
Having that home ownership for periods of years where the principal reduction is happening every time you make a mortgage payment, and you are getting appreciation over the long run. So those benefits is going to give you that equity in the home, and it will continue to grow over time. And tapping into it is what a bridge loan lets you do if you're planning on selling it. Because what we just talked about, which is the HELOC versus a cash out refinance, that lets you pull out money. You might be selling it. You might be holding on to it. You might be converting it into a rental. You might just be pulling money out of it to still live there, but go do something else. So it's about giving you access, whereas a bridge loan is temporary. A bridge loan, you've currently got your house on the market. You're going to sell it. And this bridge loan is a temporary financing solution to get you into the next home. So it's tapping into some of that equity specifically for the down payment on the new home. And you're going to sell that existing home. So a bridge loan typically will have points up front. So it might cost 1 or 2 points. 1 point is 1% of your loan amount. And it'll cost something because no matter what the interest rate is, the bank knows that they won't have that interest rate income for very long because you're going to pay off the house. And
As
so
soon as you sell it. Yeah.
exactly. So it's such a short-term loan. They want all their money up front. And then based on how much equity you have, they'll usually give you up to 80% equity at a above market interest rate, cost a couple points. You'll be able to go put the down payment on the next home. And then as soon as you sell the home, that lien will be paid off.
Yeah, and those are good for a couple of reasons that I can think of. I mean, one of them is, you want to buy your new home, sell your old home,
Yeah.
and you don't want to move twice, right? But it's sometimes hard to get into that new home. With a contingency offer. So although our market is becoming a lot more buyer friendly and we are seeing some contingent deals, but for some years now, like we didn't see any contingent deals. You could not buy a house if you still had to sell one. So bridge loans do you think they're less popular now than they were when that was more of an issue?
We're still seeing them. It really depends on if somebody is equity rich, but maybe they're not liquid in other areas. So we might see that if you say somebody doesn't have a 401k that they can borrow against, or maybe they can't borrow enough against their 401k, or they don't have, they might not want to sell the investments that they have in the equities market, or they might not have enough in savings. So we are seeing bridge loans, but the real big downside in a bridge loan is you have to qualify for your current mortgage, the bridge loan payment, and the new mortgage. So if you're going to use that to qualify, you just have to have a strong enough income to support all 3 loans.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of income.
It depends on what you're moving into.
Someday I aspire to qualify for a bridge loan.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So the last thing that we want to talk about on this topic of using your current home to buy another is this idea of whether I should use equity in my current home to go buy an investment property as an investment property, or what if I move into the new home and then turn my current home into a rental? Can you talk a little bit more about what the differences are with those two plays?
So real estate is all about options. Ultimately, you have equity, and so now you have a game that you can play. You're not sitting on the sidelines anymore. And when you talk about all of these options having equity, all of a sudden I can tap into this and what can I build from here, right? Which is so exciting to talk about. And so this last question is really, how big can I think? What does that investment property look like? Is it something that I even want to move into? Or is it something that I'm building to create an investment portfolio? So when I think about whether you should move into the next home and convert the first one into a rental, or just use the equity and buy rentals, I'm asking the question, what kind of rentals are you wanting to buy? Now, some investors love single families, and they even love higher end single families because those are the kind of tenants that they want to attract. Whereas a lot of the rentals that I personally own are more of your Class C rentals where it's 2 adults making minimum wage can afford a rental. I might not personally live in one of those rentals, so I might pull the equity out of my current primary and then go buy additional rentals, knowing that I have to put, typically anywhere from 15 to 25% down, and it's going to be a higher interest rate. The smart financial play is if you're willing to move and you have the lifestyle that you're willing to move, then I would move out of the current primary, move into the next primary, and get primary home interest rates, be able to put as little as I want down, as little as 5% or more, and then convert that one into a primary, especially if I can get creative. If I'm moving into homes that maybe I could rent out the basement or rent out an ADU, and maybe I could convert my current one into room rentals or, again, a basement rental. So maximizing the rental income opportunities while still moving from rental to rental. I help a lot of especially younger investors when they don't get married to the school that their kids are going to, or they've built a lifestyle around all the friends that they've made in that neighborhood where they feel a little bit more willing to make the move or the jump, man, that's the time to hurry up and build that equity and then move and move and move. And before you know it, you might have 3 to 5 rentals all done on primary home interest rates.
Yeah, a little bit of leapfrogging. I love that idea because you're able to take advantage of those owner-occupant interest rates, which are always lower than an investor interest rate.
Yeah.
So it does kind of depend on whether you're willing to move and what kind of investor you are. But this is how you get the low rates.
It is. It is. And I don't even want to say it's a trick. It's literally available to you.
It's a strategy.
It's a strategy.
Yeah.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac say that they're requesting you sign paperwork at the closing table that says it's your intention to live in that home for a year.
Yeah.
And so every year you could do it again. And of course, if life changes in less than a year, that was just your intention at the time. You just need to work with a very good lender.
Yes. Yes, and if you want to work with a very good lender, definitely call Nicole. If you like this content and want to support the channel, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go.